everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Saturday edition of Today in Sports Betting. We're going to take a look at the few games off the full college slate and the one NBA game that's going to be on TV. It's the Lakers Celtics. Man, that would have been talk about a little blast from the past there, Scotty. That would have been a hell of a game in about 1986.
You had a couple of decent years there in the late 90s, but yeah, I mean, no,
Barry
but really,
Magic
both
squaring
teams,
off against Magic. Come on,
yeah,
man.
both teams are pretty good. I know that the Lakers are on a little bit of a losing streak. Boston has had COVID issues this year, but Tatum's finally back, so that team should start to resemble, I'd say, the team that people expected it to be.
Goose Tatum? Tatum plays for the Celtics?
Not quite, but it was Channing Tatum, actually.
Channing Tatum. Nice. All right, let's start off with the college ranks here. And this is going to be a little bit of a different show for us, Scott. This is actually recording on Friday night. It is about 7:15 Eastern time. Lines have been out for, a couple, 3 hours. And it's a little bit different because we're not going to have full information. There's going to be different injury news. The lines are going to change. So we're kind of trying to get ahead of some of these line moves and see how that goes, as opposed to doing it day of when some of the seasoning has already taken place. So a lot of games, not a lot of great games, but I mean there's a few that should be good. You get your Clemson Duke, Duke 5.5. Scott, any reason to bet on the Blue Devils here? They covered the other night. They put the squeeze to us there late in the game. Pretty good Clemson team. Who you like there?
Well, the truth is that if you think Duke's going to make the tournament, you should bet on Duke to win this game. Because if they lose this game, they're not making the tournament. I'll tell you that much. They need this game badly. I know that the spread is a bit high. Would I want to take Duke? No. Especially since Duke has had issues covering the number. I know that it covered the last game against Georgia Tech, but that had a lot of late-game shenanigans going on there.
That seems to be the story of my life here this week, Scott, as far as my picks go. Late-game shenanigans.
See, you originally weren't a fan of my phrasing, and I feel like shenanigans really just suits it quite perfectly, doesn't it?
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Mm-hmm. I do like Super Troopers.
It's a good movie. Super Troopers 2, not so much.
Not so much, but the first one's pretty good.
Lightning in the bottle, and then they opened up the bottle, and it was gone. But very, very funny.
But I think Duke's going to win the game, but I'm not laying 5.5 with Duke. I think if you think Duke's going to make the tournament, just take the money line.
Yeah, and which we don't have yet, of course.
So. Correct, but I'm just saying, Duke, if they're 6-6 because they lose this game, they're not making the tournament. So just keep that in mind.
Well, I mean, that's a little premature because they're going to look for any reason to put this Duke team in the tournament. They are. I'm
just saying that it doesn't look too promising.
Well, without sitting down and going Lenardi on it and seeing who's going to make it out of that conference. So who do we have out of the ACC, Scott? You got Florida State. You've got Virginia, of course. Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Right now, North Carolina.
Ooh, North Carolina over Duke right now?
Right now, yes. North Carolina's actually played well the last couple weeks. So North Carolina's actually, I don't want to say comfortably in.
Okay.
But North Carolina is definitely in the field right now.
Okay.
If you want to go through it, Clemson's probably on the cusp.
Kind of a play. So you're saying this is kind of a play-in game here.
I'd say that Clemson's definitely has a good chance to get in, but I do think Clemson could play itself out relatively quickly. So I think it's a pretty important game for both teams.
Okay. Anybody else out of the ACC? I don't have the list in front of me.
Well, Louisville's on the fence. I'd assume yes for Louisville because it ended up beating Duke head-to-head, so Louisville has that edge. But you're probably looking at around, say, 6 teams, maybe 7, give or take, which, don't get me wrong, it's been a pretty down year for the ACC. But they're still going to get a couple teams in here and there.
They haven't had that real superstar team there.
No, but NC State's not very good. Georgia Tech's not very good. Syracuse isn't very good. So you have a couple of teams that are usually in the hunt. Georgia Tech not so much, but a couple of teams that are usually in the hunt that aren't there this year. So there's just something to keep in mind.
I like that. I like that Georgia Tech team. They're just not quite there yet. But
I don't think that they're a tournament team right now. But
no, they really needed that win over Duke the other day, and they didn't get that. So, All right, that wasn't even one of the games we were going to talk about. I just saw that one as I was scrolling through the list here. Um,
Well, do you want to start with the primetime games, and we'll work from there?
yeah, well, I was just going down the list. Yeah, go. Okay, let's go with the. You want to talk about Villanova Seton Hall?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about it.
I don't know how many. It seems like they've played a lot this season. This is just the second matchup between these two.
Yes.
Hmm. All right. So who you got there in that one? I'd say right now it's Villanova by 6. 142 is your number there.
If I had to go anywhere, I would take the over in this matchup. Seton Hall, from what I saw last game against Creighton, solid offensively, defensively, not so much. And we saw how the first matchup went, came down to the wire, had some free throws at the end. It was really, really close to going to overtime. But I like the over. I think the total's a little bit too low. I think both offense, especially with Seton Hall now that it has Aiken back after he missed most of the season, very, very dynamic point guard. I think he provides a huge scoring punch for Seton Hall. And Villanova needed about a half to get going because it was the first game post-COVID where they had about a 3-week layoff or so. So I think that the over is a decent spot there. I think both teams should play well offensively.
Yeah, and they still ended up playing at 150.
Yeah.
I know they shot a lot of free throws late, but that was kind of a crime against nature that Seton Hall ended up not beating the number the other day against Creighton. That was a little bit of a heartbreaker for them as well. All right, so yeah, I'm probably I'll probably play the over there with you. I think that's the play.
I think you could lean to Villanova as well, but I think the over is definitely a safer option.
Yeah, Villanova would certainly be my lean. I think this is a team that's.
I got to assume that loss is the type of one that snowballs for a little while because that was just handed to them on a platter, and then they ended up facing a zone in the second half and fell apart. We're talking about teams on the bubble. I think Seton Hall definitely needed that game, and the fact that it let slip through its fingertips might linger a little bit in the minds of its players.
Well, Penn State. Wisconsin given 3.5.
I'm my favorite. You're asking me about Wisconsin.
You know I am, buddy. Notice how I skipped over Mizzou and K-State.
I know. I'm sure that. Well, you'd probably pick Mizzou anyway because Kansas State's a lost cause. But looking at this matchup, I'll lean to Wisconsin. Penn State, don't get me wrong, in the past has given Wisconsin some issues in Penn State. But Wisconsin, I can't figure this team out, so Penn State's probably going to win the game. But just based on the spot here, I just don't think Penn State's very good. So I'll go with Wisconsin.
All right. I think 3.5 is a pretty good number there.
Yeah.
Baylor, Auburn. Auburn got anything for them? 15 is the number there, 156.
I'll lean to the over on that one, a 155.5 or so. Auburn, I do like Cooper a lot. Still not the greatest shooter for a point guard, but he gets to the foul line a lot. Auburn plays up tempo. Baylor's offense just scored 107 against Kansas State, and Auburn's defense isn't very good. I see a track meet. Would it shock you if Baylor scores 88 points in this game? Probably not.
Nope.
I'll look at the over.
I think 80 to 85 is a very reasonable number there.
Yeah, so I'll look at the over.
Well, talk about redemption. Georgia Tech has one more shot at it. Well, for now, as they go against Florida State, home dogs of 5 points.
I'm not taking Georgia Tech. I know Georgia Tech at home has been good this year. I had money on Florida State beating Georgia Tech in the first meeting. At the end of the day, Florida State just has the better athletes, a deeper roster, more talent. I respect Georgia Tech for being competitive, and I know that it's been good at home. I can't really go against Florida State. I think this Florida State team is very, very underrated. I think you agree with me on that. I think you really like this Florida State team.
Yeah, I think they're starting to finally pick up a little steam as far as press goes. But yeah, I think this has been a good team, and I think they're putting it together at the right time.
Walker's good. Barnes is good. They got a lot of pieces.
Yep, they really do.
I know we got an early game between a non-conference matchup here, just a little bit rare between Bama and Oklahoma.
Yeah, they got the Big 12 SEC thing going on. Did I blow right past that one?
It's at noon, so I think you did.
Apparently, I did. What you got? What you got a number there?
I see Oklahoma -1.5. Totals at 154.
I got to go Bama.
Truth is, I can't really go against Bama. I think Bama's been playing really, really well. I'd also lean over. I know you have seen some under money coming in. It's at 154 now. When it opened up at 155. Bama plays at a top 10 pace in the country, as pretty much a top 20 offense in the country. And Oklahoma's offense ranks in the top 50 in efficiency as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll agree with me. I don't see Oklahoma slowing the pace down that much. Oklahoma's not afraid to play a little bit fast every now and then. I think at least one of these teams can get into the 80s, maybe both. So I'll lean to the over as well.
Yeah, this is a Bama team that's been pretty much rolling here, and I don't see.
It's really good from behind the arc. So if it ends up exploding from distance, it's going to be a long afternoon for underbettors.
Yeah, this is an Alabama team that hasn't lost a game since the week before Christmas.
Mm.
And of course Oklahoma, their last loss was a couple weeks ago. They lost to Kansas and Baylor back to back, and of course then they got redemption against KU here earlier this week. Squeaked by Texas. I think Alabama is a much better team than Texas, and I think right now they're a better team than KU. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, Rock Shockers, but I think the Roll Tide comes through there. I do like your over. What do we got at 154?
Yeah,
that's a little high, but
it's a little high. But Bama plays so fast, I can't take the under.
Yeah, they've been putting up a ton of points lately. So
yeah,
all right.
I know you just talked about Kansas. Is that a segue?
I wasn't planning on it that way. Did you want to talk about KU?
I feel you kind of have to. They play Tennessee. I mean, that's a ranked matchup between two teams that have been
fading teams.
I'd say two slightly underachieving teams.
Yeah, a little bit. One of them a dramatically underachieving team.
Yeah, and Tennessee started off the year top 10. Now it's towards the mid-teens, so it has underachieved a bit. Still a very solid team, one of the favorites to win the SEC. So we'll see what happens there. I know Tennessee's laying 2.5 here against Kansas. I'll lean Tennessee in this one because I do think it'll play really well at home. I know money's coming on the over because it has been bet up from 130 to 131. Am I wrong for liking the under in that game?
No, this KU team we talked about it. It's like they're playing through molasses, man. They're just.
It's like they adjusted the style because they know they can't score as efficiently as they used to be able to. So this team seems to be playing a lot slower. And Tennessee plays great defense. It doesn't exactly, run and gun like some other teams out there. So I could see possessions coming at a premium. I think that one of these teams might not even break 60. Like that wouldn't surprise me if you see a game that turns into 64-59.
Yeah, what KU put up? They put up 35 in the first half between the two of them Thursday night.
Combined with TCU, it was 37.
37, 19-18?
Yeah.
I was thinking 18-17. Yeah, so they put up 37 in the first half. That's bad news if you're an over-better.
Yeah, and I don't see the offense suddenly figuring it out against one of the best defenses in the entire country.
No, although, does it trouble you that Mizzou had their way with Tennessee here this week?
No, not really. I think that one thing that you have to keep in mind with Missouri is the fact that they have one guy in the middle who is very, very good in a center who can actually create some serious problems. Plus, if you want to actually look at that Tennessee-Missouri game, Missouri scored 73. That game still only landed at 137.
Right.
So if you're talking about one of these teams maybe not even getting to 65, which I think is definitely feasible, I think it's a decent chance for an under there. Tennessee's defense is great. Kansas's defense is pretty good as well, even though the offense has not been as good as people want it to be. Right. So I think the under is a decent spot there. But I'll lean to Tennessee in that matchup.
Okay, I'm on board. I'm the same way.
And I'm assuming I don't know if you have a premium on it, but I'm assuming we both like Virginia.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. I haven't actually put together my premiums yet, so.
Okay, so you can rain check that, but I'll lean to Virginia on that one.
As against Virginia Tech, it's Virginia by 2, if I remember right.
It was. I see 4. I see 4 right now.
4? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at a lot of games. So, you think this Virginia team is got enough to go far in that tournament, Scott?
I actually think it does. I think Virginia is one of those teams that I have in the second tier, so to speak. I think tier 1 is Gonzaga and Baylor, and it's really not even close. I don't see a third team to put there. I think it's just those two. If you want to talk about the next, I'd say 4 or 5 teams, that maybe have a shot to win it all, but I wouldn't pick them. I think Virginia's somewhere in the middle of there. I think Virginia's one of those teams that plays in such a unique way. Plus, they really shoot the ball well from the outside. I know that team, I'd say, doesn't have much experience left from that title team. There's a lot of the key players left, of course. But Bennett's still a great coach. Team's still a top 5 defense in the country. And if they keep hitting jump shots from the outside at the clip they have been over the last couple of games, Virginia's a serious threat to make the Elite Eight Final Four. So I think that Virginia is very, very good, and they've been running through the ACC. So I can't really go against them in this one.
Yeah, and I think it takes the new players like that a little extra time to get acclimated to the pack line defense and everything that Bennett wants to do there, and making sure that they're doing that efficiently. It looks to me like that's a team that's peaking at the right time.
Yep.
I think they're starting to get it together. So
I'm trying to think of the other teams I would also pencil in that same area. Like, I think Virginia's better than, for example, Iowa, but I think Iowa maybe belongs there. I think Michigan belongs in that second tier. I think Michigan's a team that could make the Elite Eight or Final Four. I think Houston belongs in there also.
Yep.
I really like that Houston team. I think Houston teams are really, really good.
Nova
as well, yeah. So I think that mostly you're looking at Nova, Houston, Michigan, and Virginia is pretty much your second tier. Maybe Iowa, but I'm a little bit concerned by their lack of defense. But you get the idea. There are a couple of teams that wouldn't surprise you if they made it to the Final Four or the title game, but you wouldn't pick them to win the whole thing. I think that Virginia is one of those teams.
Yeah, talk to me tomorrow. I'll let you know about Iowa.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you agree about Michigan and Houston in those other teams?
Yeah, I think that's a good list. There's probably somebody we're not thinking of, but I think that hits the the top 8 there, probably somewhere in that neighborhood. So I think that's about right.
I'm not going to buy into the Bama hype completely. So no offense if you were expecting me to include Bama on that list.
No, not quite yet. They could get there. They have a shot to get there.
They could. I just don't think that. First of all, I don't think the SEC is that good. So I don't know if they've really fully challenged themselves. Of course, it's not their fault if the conference is underachieved. But I don't know. I feel like I'm waiting for them to slow up, or maybe I'm just not used to Bama actually being good at basketball. So who knows? But I'm not putting Texas in that list on the second tier.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're number 5 in the country technically.
No. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Gonzaga Pepperdine. Zags laying 21 at the Waves.
I'm not taking Pepperdine.
163.5.
I'm not taking Pepperdine. It's one of those games where Gonzaga, if they care enough, can name their score. Pepperdine's not exactly a great defensive team.
Gonzaga middled it last night. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Yeah, won it by 28.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fun times.
Good times for the books, man.
Yep.
I don't know. You got anything else? You see anything else on there you want to talk about?
Not really in terms of a full-on entertaining matchup stuff here. I'm looking at the Creighton-DePaul game.
Yeah.
I know money's coming on DePaul. I don't know why. DePaul's bad. There's really no other way to put it. I watched them play against St. John's the other night. DePaul's just the worst team in the conference. And Creighton, I know it struggled against Seton Hall early on. I think that's a big win for Creighton. Not because Seton Hall's very good, but just to show the resolve of coming from behind by 16 in the second half on the road to win that game. I got to assume that'll carry over to some degree, at least to the psyche of the players. Because that's a game that I don't know if they would have won in past years.
Yeah, I don't know. That's that was a nice win for them, and
it's mostly a fade at DePaul though, because I think that team is just brutal.
Yeah, they're awful. They are just not.
Does 9.5 is Creighton a good road team? No, but you look at DePaul 2-4 at home, lost its last 2 home games to Butler by 14 and St. John's by 13. Not exactly good Big East teams. I think Creighton could roll in that one. I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I would probably go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the best team in the MAC, Scott?
Who's what?
Who's the best team in the MAC?
It's a good question. You have a lot of good choices. I still have a sweet spot to the Toledo team.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just me, or the fact that I love that they can actually score 90 points per game if they want to. I know that there has been a lot of close games in conference play. They had an overtime loss to Akron. Akron's pretty good. Kent State's another good offensive team. I got to go with Toledo. I just think Toledo is just an offensive juggernaut. And if you're actually looking at teams in the MAC, Toledo scored at least 89 points in, 5 of its last 6 games.
Yeah.
And this team just shows no mercy offensively. So I'll lean Toledo on that.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah, it's good. Good Akron team too. It's that's a definite. It's a fun conference to watch. A lot of good offense being played.
Biggest sleeper in that is Ball State, not because they're a good team, but because they're 11-1 to the over.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind if you're a trend better.
Any ideas how many times we played the over in that game and which one it might have been?
And over in which game?
Ball State.
I'm assuming you took the over and it was the one under.
Yeah, there you go.
That's never a fun time.
And it was another brutal beat where they scored 4 points in the last 3 minutes or whatever. It was just And they had, if you watch that game, they had the miracle chance. They were 1 under the total or 2. They were 3 under the total.
You almost had an overtime draw or something.
Yeah, almost had an overtime winner for us. The kid goes to rebound the ball at a missed free throw. He falls out of bounds. They get the ball back with 1.2 seconds left. They get it into the lane, puts up the shot, just chunks it, just leaves it short.
Happens.
Dribbles it off the front of the rim. Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, looking at other games, I'm looking at the Big Ten. I don't want to go too far into college basketball, but I'm looking at Purdue -2.5 against Minnesota. I know Stefanovic, who is Purdue's best player, is not, or best shooter, I should say, is not going to play. He's out because of COVID. However, Minnesota, we've talked about how bad they are on the road this season. Team's 11-5, 0-4 straight up on the road, 0-4 against the spread. Purdue 6-1 at home. I think 2.5 is a little bit too low. Seems like the Big Ten, I've always mentioned this season how home court seems to still matter in that conference. We've talked about Minnesota ad nauseum on the road. I just think Purdue's going to win that game. You in agreement there? Minnesota showed nothing on the road this season.
Yeah, I don't love them without Stefanovic, but that Minnesota, that Gophers team is just it's so bad on the road.
So bad. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts.
All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about this NBA game. We got the Lakers at the Celtics. And true to form, Scott, it's the NBA, it's the Celtics, so we don't know. I'm sure Davis and LeBron are both questionable for this one, just without even seeing it. But I'm guessing they're got some sort of ailment that's keeping the line off the board so far. We have no line in this one. You and I were playing a little bit of guess the line before we came on, and I think our consensus is going to be somewhere in the 4.5 range.
For the Lakers, yeah, that'd be my assumption.
Yeah, as long as everybody, and this, of course, this is as long as everybody plays and everybody's healthy, et cetera, et cetera. Paper looks like a pretty good matchup. Two teams very similar, putting up similar numbers of points and allowing similar numbers of points. There you go, Scott. Anthony Davis is questionable with a knee on Saturday.
Shocker.
I would not have guessed that. This is a Celtics team that's had some COVID issues. They've had some cancellations, although they've been playing lately. But tough loss to San Antonio the other night. That's not a great look at all. Of course, they went to Philadelphia, dropped a pair. Lakers did their thing, dropped to Detroit last night by 15 after losing to Philadelphia the night before. Scott, is the little bit of the luster off the Lakers' road situation?
Yeah, it appears that way. Now, I'm not going to fully overreact to what happened. I know AD did not play. Still a pathetic showing. But for this matchup here, I actually like Boston. Just looking at the spot here. First of all, I don't know if AD is actually going to play or not. I know that I said I thought they would treat Detroit as a game to rest the starters, and I was half right because LeBron played and AD did not. However, you look at Boston. I know Boston's 10-7. I know it's been a pretty inconsistent team so far this season. However, it did just finish a massive road trip, and I do think it'll bounce back at home here. You're going through the recent performances at home. Won 2 of its last 3 home games by at least 27 points. You had the one clunker against the Knicks in there, which I'm still not sure what happened there. But you had on the road against Philly twice, then at home against the Cavs, won by 38 in that game. On the road against the Bulls, on the road against San Antonio, finally returning back to the Garden. I like Boston here. I think it's a good spot for them to get some points and to potentially win the game outright.
I think they need this one because it's a weird spot in the schedule. Is they play 9 of 11 games on the road.
Mm.
They played that 2-game set in Philly. They came home to play Cleveland, and then they went out to play Chicago, San Antonio. They're back to play the Lakers, and then they go on their West Coast swing immediately following that. So I think the Lakers want to pick up a win there because that is a potential.
You mean
I think the Celtics want to pick up a win there because that's a potentially tough spot. They play Golden State, but then they play the Clippers, Phoenix, and Utah 3 nights in a row. All those games are very losable for Boston, as is the Golden State game, really.
I mean, anytime you play 11 games and 9 of them are road games, that's a pretty brutal scheduling spot.
Yeah, it is.
So I think Boston, I'll agree with you. I think that's a good spot for Boston to come home, try to get a much-needed win before heading back to the West Coast. And the Lakers, we talked about how they're in the middle of a road trip. I just think the energy level will be a little bit in favor of Boston for that one.
Total somewhere in the neighborhood 225.
I'm not going to try to guess the totals. It really depends on if AD and company plays.
Well, this is all predicated on everybody playing. Obviously.
Yeah, I'll lean over, but once again, I don't really have any thoughts on the total here. But I do think Boston plus the points a pretty solid look.
All right. Anything else on the NBA card? Reach up and grab you by the throat.
Well, that would imply that I actually looked at the rest of the NBA card. No, I'm joking. Looking at the rest of the card for Saturday, truth is not really. I would consider looking at Houston against New Orleans. I think it's a very good spot for Houston.
I thought the same thing.
Houston played yesterday. Wait, what?
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Houston played yesterday, got a nice win there. Now is a day off. Meanwhile, you have the Pelicans who are playing at home against Milwaukee tonight. Then after that, immediately play against Houston. We talked about how we don't think the Pelicans are very good. This Houston team might actually be decent. Like after Harden got traded, this team has one of the best defenses in the league since Harden left. Look at the backcourt when healthy. You got Wall, got Oladipo, you got even Gordon as well. They got some pieces there, and Christian Wood's been great as well. I actually like this Houston team, and I think the Pelicans aren't very good. So for me, I'll go with the Rockets on that one.
Okay. Yeah, you and I were talking about Christian Wood yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I think Golden State takes care of business against Detroit.
I hope for their sake they can. I hope it's also not on television. But we'll see.
It's not. Only one televised game, man.
No, I know. I'm saying. I hope that I don't find it on some random channel at some point. But, yeah, I'll link to Golden State as well. They got smacked by Phoenix, but Golden State's done a pretty good job of beating up on the weaker teams. And I think that Detroit is the definition of a weaker team. Plus, Detroit just beat the Lakers. I feel like they might be a little bit fat and happy, even though they're about, 45 games under 500.
Yeah.
One of those games you win, you break open the champagne a little bit, and then get reminded immediately, oh yeah, we're still bad at the game.
Yeah, and they're headed on a road trip. So
yeah. So for me, I agree. I like Golden State, but I really do like that Houston spot.
Okay. Yeah, right now it's Houston -1.
I got to assume that'll close around Houston -3 or so.
You got to think so. You don't think you anticipate there's going to be much Pelicans.
And the rest advantage is also a big deal for Houston. So.
Yeah, absolutely right.
That's basically it.
All right, my friend. Well, that's going to do it for our basketball extravaganza here on Friday night. If you're looking for information on any of these basketball games on Saturday, make sure you know where to stop, and that is winnersandwhiners.com, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting related. And we would like to know, tell us what you're playing. Drop it in the comment section. Tell us what we missed. Tell us how you're fading us. Whatever it is, drop it in the comment section. Let us know what you're on today. And, of course, while you're over there clicking and dropping, make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. We appreciate the effort. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com. Appreciate everybody stopping by today. Hope all those tickets in your pocket turn into cash money back of the window. You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. Go out there and make some money. Have some fun. And we'll be back to talk about it next time on Today in Sports Betting. Bye-bye, everybody.